Can I drink this?
Do you want to explode?
Fallout New Vegas is known for the variety of weapons that is in its base game than Fallout 3 or Fallout 4 with the Anniversary Edition. Today, with the arsenal available to us, we answer, can you beat Fallout New Vegas with only using explosives? The rules for this challenge is simple. I can only use explosive weapons to deal damage. 2. I must complete all Gunrunner challenges before I can move on to the final battle of Hoover Dam, be Crackerjack Timing, Deathclaw Pro Hunter, and You Don't Belong in This World. Finally, no companions in combat, and the difficulty will be set on very hard, with survival difficulty enabled. We wake up after good old Benny tried capping us for our Amazon delivery, and pick our special stats. This time around, crits aren't going to help us get out of the fight, as explosive weapons don't gain that much of a high crit chance when they're used. So I go with 7 strength to help us carry more explosives, as in hardcore mode, they have a lot of weight to them. Perception does raise your explosive tag skill, and if you want to do that, keep this at 5 and lower luck instead, that too is acceptable. Endurance will give us more hit points, as we will be taking a lot of damage from our own explosives. Once again, Charisma is a dump stat, Intelligence set to 9 for more experience. Agility is also set to 9, as most of the late game explosive weapons take a very long time to reload, plus it's nice to have a lot of action points for the throwable grenades as well. Finally, luck is at 5, because I want to gamble to get this run set up more quickly by gambling at the casinos later on. For tag skills, I picked Speech, Survival, and Explosives. Following that, for the traits I selected, I picked both Early Bird and Skilled. Now, Early Bird is great in the early game, but it's not really that good or necessary, as you'll be doing a lot of waiting around. So, if you do this for yourself, you might want to pick Logan's Loophole for the bonus when using chems. Finally, Skilled is great, as the plus 5 to all skill points is really good, and the penalty of 10% less experience when you ever gain experience is offset by the high intelligence. By selecting the explosive tag skill, we were given some dynamite to help us complete the tutorial in Goodsprings. However, explosives are a little bit more rare than the energy weapons, so we'll have to use it sparingly. We level up leaving Goodsprings, and pick the Heave Ho perk, as it not only allows us to throw our grenades a little bit further, but it also allows our projectile weapons to arc the shot even further. Our first priority is to get as much ordnance as we can possibly can, so it's a beeline through the Black Mountain to get to Boulder City. Killing one of the centaurs along the way with 540 Mike proves that we need to find a vendor and stock up fast. Looting the Brotherhood of Steel corpses to sell off their goodies to the 188 trading post, we then march on to Boulder City. I convince Jessup to stand down and release the hostages that they have, and tell the NCR to honor their side of the deal, giving me a reputation with the Great Khans to let me buy and sell to their armorer at Red Rock Canyon. At level 4, I picked the Comprehension perk to give me 10 more skill points whenever I use skill magazines. Also, another useful perk for the early game, as I liked collecting them. From the 188 trading post, it's another 5-minute hike to the outskirts of Freeside, marking what I can along the way for more experience. At this point, I only have about 1,700 bottle caps on me, which isn't enough to get past the Skiratron's credit check, nor do I want to do the passport method. Instead, I pick up the Naughty Nightwear from Mick. That raises my luck by 1, which allows me to break the bank over at the Atomic Wrangler, followed by breaking all the other casinos on the strip. Afterwards, with my new acquired wealth, I pimp out my special stats even higher with the implants for strength, endurance, intelligence, agility, luck, and the higher damage threshold implant, along with finally the regenerative health perk as well. Now I travel east past Camp McCarran to go trade with the Great Khan armorer at Red Rock Canyon, which involved going past a couple of fiends, which I had an issue with my grenade rifle, as all my shots were going right of the target. Perhaps it had to do with me equipping and unequipping my armor that messed it up. I don't know. Perhaps you could tell me in the comments. Finally making it to the armorer, I buy up as much as I could, leaving the rest there that I couldn't carry.
I then travel northeast to the Boomers to help them out so I can get access to their armory as well, as they have weapons that are currently locked out to me at my level. We listen to the curator yap about his people's history before making our way into the generator basement, where there's a lot of goodies inside. Of course, they warned us not to use explosives or lasers on the ants, but what's the worst that can happen? Now out on the outskirts of Vegas, we clear out the fiends from Vault 3, beginning off with Cook, who hit a lot more from me than he usually does, often charging the player with his flamethrower. Violet this time sniped me pretty good, and with her dogs rushing me, didn't do me any favors either. Third time's the charm, popping some steady led to me juggling her around her motorhome with some 40 Mike. Finally, driver Neffy's group liked the bunch up together, however Neffy charged me throughout the bombardment. Killing him costing me breaking all my limbs in the process. Nonetheless, the fiend leaders are dead, and I go to turn in the bounties. I also agreed to set up Corporal Betsy with a therapy session. Trust me, I can fix her. With my new funds and the goodies that I looted from the fiends, I got myself a new toy, being the 25mm grenade launcher. It does less damage and has less arc, but it's also semi-automatic, making it great for dire situations. I then returned back to Goodsprings to thank the town for digging me up, and by putting it under some new leadership. The new leadership being the Powder Gangers. Killing Ringo only costed some of my limbs. Meanwhile, the rest of the town went down without much of a hassle. The only note of exception was that I had that glitch where all my shots hit to my right, ergo, my fellow chuds might have gotten hit during the attack. Moving towards Prim, we deal with the convicts there. I need their dynamite for some later challenges, so we leave with more explosive than the 1980s Harvey casino bombing. I level up and pick the strong back perk. This will allow us to carry more ordnance than the US dropped in Vietnam. We need to help get Myers employed, so it's time to help out around the prison and the NCR over at the Mojave Outpost. Starting off with Eddie, he wants us to get rid of Chavez and the sus merchant over near Goodsprings. Moving on to the Mojave Outpost, deal with some bandits and some scorpions before agreeing to help out Ranger Jackson and Ghost with their issues. First up is bullying some more ants over by the overpass and then the dry lake. Did some couples counseling from a distance, killed 2 birds with 1 stone before barbecuing Oliver for existing. Inside one of the buildings, Boxcar says that there are some powder gangers that are being held hostage, but we'll get back to that later. Wiped out the Legion that burnt down Nipton by burning them with some incendiary 40 Mites, and then whatever was left inside of the town hall. Returning, I turned in the quest for both Ranger Ghost and then Ranger Jackson, before smooth talking into getting Myers into becoming the new sheriff for Prim. I then returned back to the Edwards Air Force Base to see about getting some new weapons, stealing all their grenades, mines, and then getting a missile launcher along with buying a grenade machine gun. Because this one uses 25 Mikes, it's not as powerful as the unique one, and it has a bit of a wind-up period before it starts shooting. However, it holds 30 rounds before needing to reload, which I guess is a bonus. Returning back to the prison, I warned the Powder Gangers that the NCR is about to attack the prison and help defend the prison. The NCR breaching the fence line are all nicely bunched up, and I make good use of the plasma 40mm ammunition. Of course, this puts me on their shit list, and the Goon Squad then tells me that I need to stop gaslighting them on X before they dox me. I kindly tell them to go fuck off with my grenade machine gun before I toss their corpses out for the crows to pick at. Traveling south, I mark both Helios 1 and Novak on my map before reaching Nelson and clearing out the Legion there. I leveled up to 12 and picked the Hit the Deck perk that gives me 25 more damage threshold against any explosives that are used against me and that are used by me. It is the equivalent of running PhD Flopper in this game, and will help me not break my limbs as much. Once Dead Sea and his buddies are dead inside of the Circle Jerk's shack, I free the captives and then head for Private Reynolds to go save his buddies. With how irradiated I am, healing is no longer a problem. I just need to keep managing my broken limbs and keeping them in good health. We need to get some more good boy points for the NCR before heading even further south towards Camp Searchlight, clearing out both Vipers and hunting the true American way if it weren't for the damn Firearm Protection Act. Damn you, Reagan. One restock later at the Gunrunners, and we're getting closer to freeing our boys who did nothing wrong to the Legion. Clearing out the camp was easy. The only difficult part was not hitting my boys in the process. Afterwards, we ventured down to Cottonwood Cove to clear the place out of redcoats. I freed the Weathers family from slavery before heading to First Sergeant over at Camp Searchlight to recon the ghost town, and then reported to them that I slaughtered everyone in the entire camp. To the northwest of the 188 trading post, I went to go retrieve Ranger Morales' corpse from the hot Arizona sun. The only problem with New Vegas' explosive weapons is that I can't really arc the grenades on enemies on a higher elevation. I dragged his corpse to the playground and let him go down the slide one last time before they put him in a box. The troopers there warned me that there were fiends past them, but I couldn't trigger the conversation, saving and reloading.
I thought I'd just pick up another part of his corpse, and that would perhaps activate it. Instead, I pulled out of the ground another Ranger Morales. I guess Private Morales is a bit freaky. I sent him down the slide as well before turning in the unmarked quest. Continue on in that direction. It's time to help out our comrades in Vault 19 and get them aligned with the Great Khans. Samuel Cook needs us to clear out the fire geckos below the sulfur caves, and these guys need about an entire clip just to waste. Afterwards, he needs us to go speak with Papa Khan about joining, so one quick fast travel there and back, and it's done. We continue to help out the Great Khans by rescuing Anders from his impression of Jesus on the cross, before taking over his work as a drug mule. Starting off, there's somebody over at Crimson Caravan who needs a little pick-me-up, and also getting some more work for them, before getting tasked to bring some drugs over to Motor Runner at Vault 3. Re-equipping the grenade machine gun, I cleared the outside of the vault before heading inside. Inside of Vault 3, I got a little scared after I did the speech check, as they went hostile for a moment before reholstering their guns. Weird. We begin by saving Ranger Anders, delivering Motor Runner his final prescription, and then save the captives, including liberating one fiend as well. We take Motor Runner's helmet and bring it back to Camp Searchlight as proof, and get rewarded for his death. Turned in the invoice to Dr. Hildern while we're also there, and we also get tasked to go venture into Vault 22. We'll be back to do that later. Meanwhile, I need to divert the power at Helios 1, lying my way inside like the idiot with sunglasses did to get his job, before clearing out all the robots in the basement. At level 16, I picked the first rank of the Demolition Expert for 20% more damage with all explosives. I reroute the power to the region, and get blinded while stepping outside. Next up the bat for some easy experience is getting rid of all the ghouls at Retcon. This time, I had to go to the Chosen One from Fallout 2 to get the quest. Blasted Harlan into some plasma goo, got chased back into town by an invincible golden gecko while trying to get the cleaning chemicals. Then sent the ghouls into each other's rockets, reaching their own great beyond. Continuing the trend of killing mutant creatures, next up is clearing out Black Mountain of their super mutants. The missile launcher made good work with the regular mutants, and the random Deathclaw that showed up. Counter-sniped the Nightkin with the unique missile launcher, Annabelle. Outside of the communist propaganda written on it, it is a straight upgrade than the regular missile launcher with the guidance system, lighter than the base version, and uses less action points, plus it is affected by the heavy weight perk. Instead of painting Tabitha's room red, I instead fix up her robot butler and send her off on her way. I return back to Freeside because instead of going to the Brotherhood of Steel to get power armor training, I opted to get the Remnants instead, meaning we have to recruit Arcade Gannon. Now, I'm not going to allow Arcade to fight on my behalf, and if he does kill anything, I will simply reload to the last checkpoint. From what I know, Arcade needs 3 triggers before his quest begins. The first being seeing the energy weapons at the Silver Rush. Second is heading into the Repcon Center near the 188 training post, in which the fiend guarding the non-existing corpse have respawned, so I ran inside before Arcade could kill anything, and got him to trigger his second comment. Finally, past the husbandry farm, there's a crashed vertibird in the field that is being guarded by some high-level robots. I tell Arcade to wait by the cows and put Annabelle to some work. After all the fighting's over, I bring Arcade to go check out the scene, and that's all we can do for now. I promptly tell him to go return back to the old Mormon fort. Until I can progress further on the main quest, there's nothing I can do to get the power armor training. In the meanwhile, I decide to help out around Freeside, and while killing some disgruntled gentlemen in the alley, I level up to 18 and get the second rank of the Demolition Expert. The rest of the town goes the same. Help out the addicts, do some charity work, try to blow up an ungrateful man on the strip by placing a grenade in his pocket. Didn't work out. Before grabbing all the dynamite that I had from clearing out the Bison Steve Hotel, I began making my way to Vault 22 to complete You Don't Belong in This World. Since the plant monsters and spore carriers are both pretty weak abomination, I get this challenge done pretty quickly. Saving this dynamite for the Deathclaw Hunter challenge is a must. I collect the bunker part out of old habits, save the ghoul who I'm pretty sure is infected as well, burn the base layer of the vault, and get some pretty easy experience. I am very close to getting the last level of the Demolition Expert, so finishing up You Can Depend on Me puts me over that threshold. Outside of the splash damage perk, that's all the perks I want on this build, so I return to the Tops Casino and talk to Swink how much of a naughty boy Benny has been. He agrees to let me bring in my destructive devices into the building, and sends Benny to his room. With Benny dead, I get the Platinum Trip, and now it's time to decide who we're going to be siding with. In my last 3 runs, it's been the Legion and the NCR twice, so that leaves Mr. House or Yes Man, in which I let the wheel decide. After landing on Mr. House, I go to his penthouse and deliver him the Platinum Chip after 204 years. Watching his company PowerPoint about how he's going to replace all his security with machines, Mr. House wants me next to go over to the fort and upgrade his Securitrons there. I won't be killing Caesar just yet. At the sub-level of the fort, I tell Arcade to wait and get the lowdown of what House needs me to do and then get to work. Caesar is nonetheless wiser, and we leave for our next mission. He next tasks me with recruiting the boomers. However, while leaving, the followers ambush me outside, asking me to do some charity work by bugging my employer's personal computer. I oblige, and then I'm rewarded with a bit of experience. Fast traveling to the boomers and back, next up is figuring out what kind of terrorism that the Omertas are up to. I told Arcade to wait outside, and not to worry about the concerning amount of explosions that he hears inside. With Gamora wiped clean of its sin a second time, Mr. House was not pleased with my discreetness, and next puts me to work clearing out the Brotherhood of Steel. Inside of the bunker, the initial confrontation was a little iffy at first. After getting stun-locked by their Gauss rifles was not fun. Further into their bunker, I turned their turrets on the BOS members and leveled up to 22, picking the Eye for an Eye perk, which gives me more damage the more limbs I break, which, at this point, helps me a lot when combat gets overwhelming. I killed all their head leadership and activated self-destruct sequence, destroying the Brotherhood of Steel once and for all. Returning back to the Lucky 38, my reputation with the NCR has not gone down the toilet, in which I can go save the president. However, exiting the Lucky 38, Arcade's companion quest finally triggers, and I can finally begin All Along Saying and get the power armor training. This quest just involves going to all the 5 remnants and convincing them to re-enlist for another 3 years in the sandbox. The only one that I haven't met is Dr. Henry in Jacobstown, so I leave Arcade outside Outer Vegas, and then it's a hike northwest, killing some bighorners and some other vermin along the way. Speaking with Marcus politely, he directs us to Doc Henry inside of the ski lodge. Normally I don't even come up this far, not even in my Big Iron or Ian the Reckless run. Doc Henry is willing to assist us in the Battle of Hoover Dam, but he wants to finish his work before teaming up with the rest of the gang. We need to go retrieve the Stealth Boy up in one of the caves outside of the ski lodge. The quest encourages us to take Lily up there to help clear out the cave of Night Stalkers, but I decline. Before I clear the cave, I talk down some mercenaries outside of the refuge from attacking the place. Inside the cave, due to the Night Stalkers making so much noise, I just shoot where I think they are. Don't need to clear a building if you just wipe it off the map. Returning back to the lodge, I watched Doc Henry perform his experiment with the voices in the wall. I then talked Keen down from jumping the place, and then encouraged Doc Henry to keep giving Lily more addicting painkillers for his all-timer. Once Henry agrees to join the party, I watch Arcade phase into reality one last time before making my way into the bunker. Orion has a fit that he has to help the NCR, but one speech check later, I convince Arcade to follow in his father's footsteps, and have him re-enlist for another 3-year contract. I tried killing him for his Tesla power armor, but seeing as it doesn't protect you as much, and I have no use for energy weapons, I decided to let him live. Returning back to the task at hand for Mr. House, I need to go protect the president. I purchased some landmines and other munitions from the quartermaster. I steal the detonator, and the bomb that's on the vertibird, and then place the landmine in the fake NCR sniper before alerting Ranger Grant of the attempted assassination. Reporting back to Mr. House, he is pleased with the job well done, and then I am next tasked to go power the substation near Helios 1 to install the override chip. Killing some fire ants along the way, I run into another one that was immune to all my attacks. Once the substation is under Mr. House's control, we are ready to begin the fight at Hoover Dam. However, there are 3 things I need to do before then. The first is completing the other 2 Gunrunners challenges, being Deathclaw Hunter Pro and then Crackerjack Timing. Fast traveling to Sloan, I begin peppering the Deathclaws with my 25mm launcher to break their legs before switching to the dynamite. After getting the hang of it after a few tries, I get a nice group of 4 ready to be blown into smithereens. The 5th and final Deathclaw just so happened to be the Alpha Deathclaw, and like the cherry on top, one of the 2 challenges are completed. Further clearing out the construction site, I kill the Mother Deathclaw and her children. Next leveling up to 24 and picking the Mad Bomber perk to complete the next part of the challenge, then returning to Slow to give them the good news. Now we needed tin cans in order to kill some Cazadors, as at the time I didn't think I had a lot of long fuse dynamite to kill 10 of them. A trip over to the Aerospace Refugee Park to do my good turn daily by picking up some of the non-bent tin cans, then tactically acquiring the needed duct tape, as I could not find a vendor in the state of Nevada who would actually sell me some. I killed a good portion over by the wind farms outside of Novak, got them all grouped up together, and then blew them all up. However, I fast traveled then over to the old remnants bunker, and got a few more before I ran into another invincible insect, and tactically retreated. Made 1 more, and then finished the challenge right outside of the gas station near Helios 1, before turning my attention to one of the last weapons of the run. Outside of the Legion camp, there is Deadwind Cavern Cave, and inside of there's a unique grenade launcher machine gun that I really want. Clearing the cave high on drugs was surprisingly very easy, as most of the Deathclaws got stuck on the geometry of the cave, which made them very easy prey once inside. I retrieved Mercy and decided to put it to good use by finishing what I started back over in Cottonwood Cove by clearing out the fort next. Fast traveling to Cottonwood Cove next, I walked up to the barge, and my game crashed again. The curse of Cottonwood Cove lives on. Reloading to my last save, I successfully made it to the other side of the river and began clearing out the camp. Caesar, being in a confined space along with his Praetorians, stood no chance to the power of 40 Mike. I made one final repair run for my armor and weapons, then picked up a surprise musketool that will help us later when we're off to Hoover Dam. Mr. House needs me to take control over the mainframe of the dam. Convincing 2 heavy NCR troops that it's snowing outside gives me the slip. Plugging in another override chip and then turning on the power gives access to the Securitrons over at the fort that were buried under there. Pushing along the top of the dam, the remnants decided to finally show their face as I crawl inching closer to the main camp. I did not know that Cannibal Johnson would follow me into the camp, but he doesn't do much with his minigun of his. Finally reaching the basin of Lake Atlantis, I pop every drug known to man and pull out the surprise in my pocket, letting Lanius taste the sun. Hobbling back to the gate, the NCR decided to show their ugly mug. I told them I'm not paying taxes, and gave them the same treatment as Lanius, proving yes, you can beat Fallout New Vegas with only using explosives. This was one of the first challenges recommended to me by you all, and I had a lot of fun with this playthrough. If I were to recommend this to you, I wouldn't pick the early bird trait, as it doesn't help much in the later game. Plus, I didn't miss a challenge that I will be getting back later on when I tackle the DLCs using this build. Other than that, this was a lot of fun, and if you'd like to see me do another run, please tell me down in the comments. I hope you all enjoy your Easter Sunday, and remember to smile.